Hello YouTube. Calgary's been setting records for the past 4 months straight. We have not seen market conditions this tight for over 15 years. I'm going to highlight a few of the reasons of why that is in today's video, but if you want to read the full report, please click the link in the description. All the information provided in today's video is from the Calgary Real Estate Board. I'll provide all the links below, so let's get into it. Hi, my name's Adam Fife, and I'm a local real estate agent here in Calgary, Alberta. I try my absolute best to only provide value-driven content for both my viewers and clients. If you're going to give me a few minutes of your day, you're going to get something out of it. And today we're going to talk about Calgary's current market position. But for the 89% of you who are not subscribed, please consider browsing the channel as you may learn a thing or two. We're going to start off by reading this description. If you'd rather read it on your own, then you can pause the video and skip to the next chapter by scrolling across in the timeline. March 2022, record high sales seen again in March. City of Calgary, April 1st, 2022. For the second month in a row, sales activity not only reached a monthly high, but also hit new all-time record highs for any given month. Gains occurred across all property types as they all hit new all-time record highs. What a tongue twister. An increase in new listings this month helps support the growth in sales activity. However, the inventories have remained relatively low, ensuring the market continues to favor the seller. While supply levels have improved from levels seen over the past 4 months, inventory levels are still well below what we traditionally see in March, thanks to the stronger than expected sales activity. With just over 1 month of supply in the market, the persistently tight market conditions continue to place significant upward pressure on prices. With an unadjusted benchmark price of $518,000 this month, the monthly gain increased by another 4%. After 3 consecutive gains, prices have risen by nearly $55,000 since December and currently sitting near 18% higher than last year's levels. Despite the strong start to the year, price gains and rising lending rates are expected to weigh on demand in the second half of the year. Nonetheless, persistently tight conditions will continue to impact the market over the next several months. Wow. So let's start off by looking at the total residential sales in all of Calgary. Now, this graph includes all property types. You can see how this past March absolutely blows out every March since 2008 with over 4,000 sales in a single month. If you watch last month's update, February did pretty much the same thing. Next, let's check out the inventory. Now, the inventory is the number of homes that were currently for sale in that month. With low amounts of inventory and high amounts of sales, as you can see here, we can assume that prices will go up. If we look at March 2015, you can see that total sales were down while inventory was up, which means prices were bound to drop. You can see that trend in 2018, 19, and 20. By looking at and watching these things on a monthly basis, you can start to take a guess at what might happen in the months to come. Now, let's keep in mind that this is the total sales in all of Calgary. Each color in the stack represents each quadrant, so you need to break this down into property types and areas of town to really get a better look at the micro outlook into those areas that you are considering. You can see that with such a crazy spread of inventory to sales in 2022, we can assume that prices will continue to rise this year. We need to pay attention to what's going on with interest rates and other economic factors, but I do not think we're going to see a slowdown anytime soon. So in my 2022 prediction for Calgary real estate, I brought up the fact that CREB, or the Calgary Real Estate Board, predicted that there would be an 8% increase. But I believe that we're going to see some double-digit price growth all throughout the year. We have seen prices raise upwards of $55,000 since December, stated in the initial description. Now, the month of March did see an uptick of new listings that came on the market, but it was not nearly enough to offset the number of people wanting to purchase Calgary real estate. Moving forward, you can see that this graph is the months of supply, or another look at inventory. This graph breaks it down into micro levels so that homeowners and buyers can see which property types are in demand in each quadrant. On average, over a quick glance, you can see that most property types are near or under 1 month of supply. That means if no more new listings were to come into the market and no more new buyers were to step in either, it would take 1 month for every single home to sell. Anything under 2 months is considered a seller's market, and anything over 3 months is considered a buyer's market. If the months of supply are at or near 3 months, it's considered balanced conditions, where prices may not go up or down because it's a fairly balanced market. We can see that for this month of March, everything is either at 2 months or below. So that means that the market is in favor of the seller. So you would technically class this as a seller's market. By looking at this graph, you can almost assume prices in every sector and every property type will increase in 2022. So moving right along, this is a fairly informative map of the 8 sections or quadrants of Calgary. I've started a series called Touring Calgary via Google Maps, where I'll be chatting about each quadrant individually, so make sure to check out my channel for those videos. Now this is a total residential benchmark price for every quadrant, so detached, semi-detached, row, townhouse, and apartments all in one. When looking at this, you can see that the year-over-year percentages are pretty high. This is because a normal March month does not have nearly as much actions as this. A mix of inflation, low interest, heavy demand to invest in Alberta have driven many home buyers to check out Calgary real estate. Now you can see that the west and northwest are typically our most expensive areas, whereas city center and southeast closely follow. If you have any questions of why that might be, feel free to reach out and ask. So here's another snapshot of prices when compared to March of last year. This type of information is very useful in busy months of the year like spring and summer because March can easily be affected by the weather. If winter extends into normal spring months, you will notice a decline in prices and activity. But if spring comes early in the year, you will see an increase in prices and activity as well. Make sure you talk to someone who understands that and not just use this information to trick you into believing something different. You can see all across the board that total prices in Calgary are up. As an example, when looking at prices of detached homes in March of last year, you will see that in 2021, the benchmark price was only $515,000. This year, $620,000. That's an increase of $105,000 in 12 months. Wild. So I really like this next graph as it helps visualize what's happening in our market, but unfortunately, it only goes back until 2017. You can see that the green bars are the average price, the blue is the median price, and the red is the benchmark price. I've never really liked median and average prices as a few $1,000,000 here or there can really sway that number in different directions. It's great to know when there are larger sales in our economy depending on your personal circumstances, but for the average Calgarian, median and average prices don't really mean too much, in my personal opinion. Paying close attention to the benchmark price is important though. The benchmark price is the price of a home within a certain criteria set by CREB. If you are curious about what that criteria is, I will link it below. Now, I'm not going to read this out, but if you are interested in a certain property type, you can pause the video and read what the Calgary Real Estate Board has to say about each. It's important to get all the data before making any large real estate decision because using this data to your advantage is the key to success, and especially in a market like this. Finally, the microeconomic outlook for each property type in each quadrant. Now, I utilize this heavily when I have active clients looking to either buy or sell. This type of information is useful when helping clients develop a better understanding of local activity. This, coupled with real-time comparative market analysis, is by far the most important thing that you could do when considering a purchase or putting up a home for sale. The strategies consistently shift and change depending on location, the stats, and how much activity is in their given area. Finding a professional who is willing to take the time, break down the numbers, and work with you on your behalf is super important. These numbers can be used in many different ways. Calgary real estate is going to be very, very busy this year. Setting a plan and working towards the end goal well in advance is very important this year. Don't just hop into the market at the last minute as it may become frustrating at some point. If you have any questions or want to come up with a game plan, I'm only a call or text away. I hope you got some value from this update, so please browse my channel for other content and I look forward to continuing this trend all throughout the year. Until next time, peace.